In this video, we're going to be using the Omnishaver Shave Butter and the Omnishaver Premium Touch-Up Razor. Stay tuned. Hey there folks, and welcome back to another video. I'm your host CDB. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be using some products that were sent to me by Omnishaver because you've seen me use this razor, which I bought off Amazon. This is the Omnishaver Premium for head shaving. And they reached out to me and they were wanting to have me try this razor with the shave butter. And in the process of discussing that, I said, you know, I don't mind the Omnishaver Premium, but I find it a little cumbersome around the ears. So they said, well, we'll send you a Omnishaver Premium touch-up razor, which you see here has a handle, and you can give that a go. So we're going to use this today for a dome shave and the Omnishaver Premium shave, or Omnishaver Shave Butter. Sorry, they throw premium on these things, which are metal, have the metal casing around them. Anyhow, let's talk about the shave butter. This shave butter comes to you for $15.99 for 6 ounces, or on a cost chart there, $2.66 an ounce, which is exceptional. The ingredients we'll put for you right here. This is a vegan product made in the USA. There's no harmful stuff in it. You know, it's got all the stamps on there. No GMO, no animal testing, so on and so forth. So we look forward to using this today. I'm just going to put it in my hand and sort of work it in because they really like for folks to use the shave butter with their products. So we'll try that. We're also going to try the Omnishaver Premium Touch-Up Razor. And this was designed to get into tight spots. Now, one thing to mention, and they're very clear about this, this was not meant for face shaving. So they said it's for your head or maybe your legs or somewhere where the skin is taut. And if the skin isn't taut in those areas, you know, do some stretching. That's what they recommend. So they also recommend in the areas where it might be a little loose, just do it one way instead of going both ways as you normally would do with this version of the Omnishaver Premium. So let us begin. And I do want to mention again, the Omnishaver is a little bit different from most razors. So your standard DE razor, you don't use a lot of pressure. With this one, they want you to press down. They want you to press down. And they always put these flyers in the product that say press down firmly. Otherwise, it's going to feel tuggy. And it will feel tuggy if you don't. So please keep that in mind. And we shall take the cap off the touch-up razor here, which has a long handle, and they've designed it this way so the finger pads sort of go in there and it makes it very grippy. So we'll give it a shot today and see how it goes. We're just going to mist the dome first and get some moisture on it, and then we will apply the shaving butter. It's coming out pretty quickly there, more than I expected, so sorry about that. The key to these razors, according to the folks at Omnishaver, is to continually use that buffing action where you can. Keep it in mind that once again, if you're using it on areas that are not taut, just use the one direction instead of two, because you don't want that skin rolling up. And they're also very careful to caution about not going this way with the razor. If you go this way, when the razor is oriented this way, you're going to look like Thanos. Remember Thanos' chin with all those cuts in it? Because there's like 10 blades in there, so keep that in mind. Let's just make sure we get that sort of worked in. And they don't want you rinsing the razor because they want that lubrication to remain in there, and they want you to continually be using that buffing action to sort of keep the razor clean that way. So let's get started here. And I'm not going to start out by buffing because I'm going to be working around my ears. So let's see how it feels. And again, the thing you have to really remember to do with this razor is to use pressure. I'm rinsing. I'm not supposed to be rinsing. I'm sorry, I've already blown it. I'm not supposed to be rinsing, but I am. So, you know, there you have it. Ooh, I don't know if I can buff with this razor because I'm not accustomed to buffing. So I am going to do it in areas, but I'm going to try to do it where it feels comfortable. That, I gotta say, it feels more comfortable to buff with this one because I'm not used to buffing with a razor with a handle on it. And so that to me feels very unusual to try to buff with this form factor. So I'm not going to, and I'm sorry, Omnishaver folks, I'm probably going to disappoint you a little bit. It doesn't feel comfortable for me to buff with. I'm a little bit afraid to buff because I'm afraid the skin is perhaps not taut enough to buff. The problem is when you do that, I'm not cleaning that razor as they would like you to do. And so maybe I can find an area where I can buff, like here. Now there I can buff using, you know, short strokes, but I'm gonna hold the skin there so it's taut. And that is the intended sort of purpose. Short strokes, buffing back and forth. But that didn't feel bad. But I'm concerned that in some places the skin just may not be taut enough for me to buff. But now that's not feeling too bad. But in some areas, I'm not sure, like the back of my head here, I'm not sure I want to buff those areas. So I'm not going to, because I don't want a bunch of cuts. And I know I have a spot on the back of my neck that's a bump, so I may end up scalping that. What I'm trying to do here is hold my head a little bit and do some of that buffing, like they say. And it does feel okay if you can get accustomed to it. But I am not accustomed to buffing with a razor of this form factor. And so it is honestly proving a little bit difficult for me, just because I'm not used to it. But I am going to try it. Just remain careful. The shaving butter is slick, I will tell you that. So slickness is good. Now I'm going to work around the ear here a little bit. And you see how that skin pulls up a little bit around that area. It's a little loose in that area. So, you know, I'm mindful. I don't want to be buffing too much there. I will a little bit. This is just an unusual way to shave. I'm not saying it's ineffective, but it just feels different for me. And, you know, you might struggle a little bit in getting used to it. But when it's slick, and the shave butter is slick, and when you're using those areas that are, you know, covered with the shave butter, you can definitely feel it. I'm going to buff a little bit back here. It's just, I think, honestly, I think it's easier to buff with that razor. And that's its intended purpose. This one is you know, more for, again, touch up. So, you know, keep that in mind. We're just sort of having a learning experience here. I thought this would feel more intuitive because it had its handle, but my shave butter I've about exhausted the shave butter there. So let's reapply here. And this time I'm gonna go to the, I'm gonna reapply the shave butter. I'm gonna go to this one and do a little buffing. And I think that's gonna feel better. So maybe just for me, this form factor here just feels better buffing. So what we're gonna try to do is put the shaving butter on here and use it more along the lines of its intended purpose, doing that short, choppy, buffy motion, using some pressure. I thought that the handled version would feel a lot more natural to me, but because I'm not used to buffing with a handled razor, it feels very bizarre. And it's something I would never do with any other razor. And so that's why it feels so unusual. And so I'm gonna apply a little more, just a slight amount of moisture to this. And again, this is a learning experience. It takes some getting used to, and remember to make sure you wipe your hands off because this stuff is slick. There's no doubt about it. I don't know how long it will last because I don't really know how much you have to apply, but I'm just gonna get a little bit of water on there. And now we're gonna go to the regular premium Omnishaver, and we will try to do a little buffing with that. Yeah. And that feels a little more natural to me to buff with this one. Wow, I wouldn't have thought that. But the handled version might be, you know, maybe if you're shaving your legs or, again, working around my ears, things like that. So the point of this particular model is to continue buffing using pressure both ways. It's sort of stropping the blade, according to Omnishaver. And again, trying to make sure the skin is taut. And just continually using that buffing sort of motion. And it does work. There's no question about it. It does work. I'm going to buff this area right here, which is a difficult area. The shaver does work. I don't know what the longevity of the blades will be. That's really a question. But they say you can get a good, you know, amount of shaves out of this blade so long as you're continually doing this buffing action and stropping the blade. And they have some instructions, like if you feel the blade is getting tuggy, to use the shave butter and sort of do some palm stropping back and forth on the blades. And they have videos on how to use, the product. And of course, me being a traditional shaver, we immediately want to deviate from everything. That's just the way it is. But I definitely want to use products and give them a fair shake. I did not expect for this particular shaver to feel more natural, but it does when buffing. So it sort of makes sense, this form factor. But I am going to touch up again with the other one in the spots that, a little difficult. What I'm trying to do here is just clean up, because I've been all over the place in this shave, just hitting various areas all over the place. You could get a very quick and efficient shave with this. I think the question will be on value is just how long do these blades last? This one, I think I've got about, because I've used it off cam some, I've got about, I want to say in the neighborhood of 7 or 8 shaves on it. It's still feeling good. It's not feeling like it's degraded at this point, so that's good. It definitely works. But again, I advise you to follow the instructions to achieve, the longevity that they want you to achieve. And I will say the shaving butter, as far as that goes, it will provide the necessary slickness, because everything is still slick, and I've been going over it here for a while. So it's still slick. And they don't want you to rinse this razor because they want that slickness to sort of remain in the device, as I understand it. So please keep that in mind. Now I'm just sort of stretching a little bit and feeling around for any spots maybe I've missed. Stretching my skin, pulling it taut. And this is just this has been a learning experience. I got one area, let's see. These areas right here are always the most difficult, right here. See if I can get at that a little bit. Requires lots of work there, regardless of which razor I'm using. A little bit right there. That's not bad. Honestly, it's better than I expected. I'm surprised. I expected this one, I was just going to take to it, and it was going to feel great, and I was going to shave my entire head with it. But this one feels better buffing, to me. This one will definitely feel better getting in these tight areas. So if you're just going in one direction and not buffing, this one's going to feel better just in those tight spots. Or for touching up. I guess that's why they call it the touch up. But keep in mind, it can go both directions also. But you definitely don't want to be using this in buffing over loose skin. And again, they're advising you, not to do so. So keep that in mind. And again, use pressure. That's what they're advising. I'll do a little bit of buffing right there, because there's the spot I needed to get. I think part of it is this doesn't pivot. And, in their video, they talk about why they didn't make it pivot. I sort of like the pivot on the head, but, it's not the design of this razor. Anyway, honestly, I've gotten a pretty good shave. I expected this one was going to feel a lot better, but this one feels more natural. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've used it more. They both work. I mean, there's no question about that. This one feels more natural for the purpose of buffing. This one, definitely it gets in those areas, the ears, easier. So take that into consideration for what it's worth. Let me rinse, then we'll come back, get into the post. Stay tuned. And all right, we are back. And off cam, we did a warm water rinse, and then we followed that with a cold water rinse. And then we applied some magic, because it's made by Witch's Thayer's Witch Hazel. So what I always try to do when I use an evaluation product is figure out, would I buy this with my own money? So I've already bought this one, and this one will certainly get the job done. I'm still getting more comfortable with it. It does definitely do the job, just a little cumbersome around the ears. The Omnishaver Premium Touch-Up, I really expected to like this a lot more, because it's more in the form factor of a handled razor, but I found I'm just not confident enough to buff with it. It just doesn't feel natural to me. And because it's fixed, some of the areas, it felt a little awkward to me. I do prefer my leaf razor that pivots, and generally razors that pivot when shaving the head. Not the face, but the head. I just really like that. So that's my personal preference. This one I'm going to have to use more before I decide, because I'm going to have to use it off cam and develop some confidence with it. Because right now it felt awkward to me. I really didn't enjoy the experience because I was just very, very tentative with it. And I'm just going to have to use it some more, and then I'll come back on a video, use it, and let you know whether I would buy this one with my own money. Undecided at this point, but we shall figure it out. The shave butter, it worked well. There was absolutely no problem with it. When you get a little water mixed with this, it's very slick. There's absolutely no problem with this. So if you were looking to do a very quick head shave with this, or really anything else, and just wanted to slap some water on the dome and then slap something on there that you didn't have to lather to provide that slickness, this will definitely do it. It is definitely worth it in that regard. If you want to, if speed is what you're interested in, this would probably be a good buy on that account. But this one, we'll just have to see. And I want to thank Omnishaver for sending it. But again, we always call it like we see it. I don't know if I'll develop confidence in this or not, but I will let you know one way or the other. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I've been your host, CDB, reminding you, it's your shave, do it your way. And as always, God bless.